Okay, here's a close-up of a head on an M&R Chameleon, and I'll show you all the controls on them real quick. There is a lot more on these than the other M&Rs because this specific one has the most options on it. But you'll either have these options on every press, whether it be a Sidewinder or a Cruiser, or just won't have them at all. But they all have the same stuff. Some of them just don't have as many things. So the first thing in the back is this, just a kip knob. M&R calls it a tool-free adjustment because essentially this little piece that rotates around when you pull it out on a spring is the tool. And you can turn a bolt in there. This is for the spring tension here. Tightens and releases it. For the most part, you don't ever use this unless you're either replacing a spring or you're setting up a press the first time to account for the tilt and height of the screen. After that, you rarely ever use those. Probably the stuff up on the head you use a lot more often, but even then, there's some of those you don't use very often either. So this knob that's up here, this is specifically for the tilt of the head, so the nose end, up and down, and those need to be level and parallel to your pallets. So when you're leveling your pallets, you'll adjust this to be perfectly parallel with them. And then for the most part after that, you don't use this either. There's a couple specialty prints that you do, but 99.9% of the time you don't ever adjust this either. And if you do adjust this when you're setting up a job, it will throw it off reg with everything else. So for the most part, that's the second least used adjustment on these presses. So everything else though is the stuff you use all the time. These two knobs here are just threaded rods that are bolted to a plate down here. That's your screen holder, your screen clamps right there. Certain presses have pneumatic ones of those, but this, it's just tightened by hand. Generally when you're tightening them, it's good to use two hands and tighten them together because that'll put even pressure down at the same time and cause your screen to move less when you are tightening those down. The next ones are your micros. That's probably the most complex things on these heads and also probably where people struggle the most. So your micro adjustments are right here. You have three knobs. These two move each side of the screen this way, front to back. This one here on the side moves the screen side to side. And you can adjust them in very small increments. To move them though, you have to lock and unlock them right here. So you'll want to unlock it like this, and you're just cracking it loose. You're not letting that free swing. You're just cracking it loose, so now it can move. If you move them when it's locked, it's bad on the press and you'll end up stripping stuff and causing a lot of wear very quickly. So don't forget to unlock them, but you just kind of want them cracked, not free floating. From there, then you can move your screen when you're lining up to wherever it needs to be. There's two little targets right here. And if your press has been zeroed back out properly, they should be right around the center of that target to start. That means you have the most leeway in any direction to adjust whatever direction you need. So from there, you can watch that little target and actually watch which way the screen is moving. Now, what people get confused on the most when they're moving these around is they think this is moving right here. This is actually stationary. This isn't moving. It's the whole head that is holding the screen that is moving. So whichever way you see this down below with the target on it moving, that's the direction your screen's moving. So you can see it moving side to side there, and then it's going to move, just this side is going to move forward and back when I adjust that one. Same thing on the other. So like if I turn just this one, that means the whole screen is moving this way. So it's going at an angle and adjusting out and over. So if you want the whole thing to move up and down together, you have to grab both and turn them simultaneously at the same speed, which takes some practice. I mean, nobody starts out getting that dead on at first. So you just use your eyes and move it around until you get it where you want it when you're starting out. And definitely the more times you do it, the more comfortable you get with them, and it starts getting easier. But that's definitely where people struggle the most with beginning to learn how to set up on the M&R. And then when you get it where you want it, tighten these back, and that's it. Like, they're tightened, but I'm not like killing it. You don't see me white knuckling or anything there. So that's it on that too. It's good to go then. You can strike open your test print and see if you're where you want. If you're not, do the same thing. Crack them open, move the micros, tighten them back up, test again. Keep going until it's where you want. Certainly that gets easier the more times you do it, the more experienced of a printer you become. But that's it. That's all the controls on a Chameleon head.